All right, this is APUSH Chapter 10, Part 5. Should be the concluding chapter right here. So we had finished talking about Jackson's really complex legacy, kind of how he's this walking paradox, and, he has good stuff, he has bad stuff. But let's talk a little bit about the rise of the second party. So you have the rise of the Democrats. Basically, Jackson is the first Democrat candidate, and the opposing party that rises up, and it's really around for about 2 decades, from the 1830s to the 1850s, is the Whig Party. And really, the Whigs get their emergence strictly as a way to stop King Andrew I, as they saw it. So some of the early leaders, of course, were Daniel Webster, who had spoken passionately in favor of the American system and against some of the things that Jackson was saying. Also, Henry Clay, longtime foe. Remember, he's the daddy of the American system, if you will. Him and Jackson are certainly not friends. They are still in that group of people that felt like the people that were in political positions needed to be people of wealth and education. No Joe Schmo should be in politics running this country, that you can't give something important like that to just anybody. They celebrated entrepreneurs, these people who invested in businesses and stuff like that, and they're looking for a return to that. Biggest part probably of the American system as far as the platform went was the Whigs. The biggest part of that was the American system. They also, the Whigs won control of the House of Representatives. So there were people that were definitely for what they were selling. They also tended to have evangelical Protestants that would, they typically tended to be Whigs. Small town merchants were also a group of people that liked to be Whigs. Prosperous farmers would technically fall in the Whig category usually. And then lastly, skilled workers tended to be Whigs. So Democrats were the groups that weren't those. Now, the Whigs were defeated in 1836, post Andrew Jackson. Martin Van Buren, the guy who basically created political parties, the system, the campaigns and all that stuff. Martin Van Buren is the handpicked successor of Andrew Jackson, and he is going to win an election. There was a third party that actually rose up called the Working Men's Party. They were formed to attack social inequities. They wanted tax-supported schools. You say we only want educated people in powerful positions. Well, let's educate our children. Wealthy people could pay for a tutor. Farmers couldn't do that. But if there's tax-supported schools, then anybody in America can have a free public education, which means anybody in America could eventually one day be president of the United States. So very important there. Unfortunately, bad timing for the Working Party, because in 1837, we go through something called the Panic of 1837, which is a very bad depression, not too far off from the Great Depression itself. Mostly brought on because England decides that it's lending, they've got to fix their economics, and that they're lending too much money to America. They're investing too much in America, and they kind of retract some of those loans and stuff, which hurts growth and jobs in America, which kind of puts everything into a free fall from there. Cotton prices would fall, which obviously would wreak havoc on the South. So people start freaking out a little bit, and they start withdrawing their money from banks because they don't want a bank to go under and then lose their money. And of course, that makes things worse because banks need money to make money and to invest and stuff like that. We were 20% unemployment during the Panic of 1837, which is a very high number. I mean, the Great Depression itself wasn't too much higher than that nationwide. Like I said, it destroyed the union movement. Unions will come back. They'll have their day in the sun, but at that moment, it nixes it. When people were lining up to get jobs, unions aren't going to have any power. You had the log cabin campaign under William Henry Harrison. He's a Whig. The Whigs are like, oh, we're going to get our shot after Martin Van Buren. Henry Harrison is made out to be a self-made man, which appeals to the people. He will actually win the presidency, but he's only president for a month because he dies of pneumonia. His vice president is a man by the name of John Tyler, and John Tyler is not really a Whig. And the Whigs are very angry that he votes against them very often. He supports the Democrats more than the Whigs, so they got ripped off, if you will, and they call him his accidency. And now, very big in election, William Henry Harrison won that election. 80% of people on the voter turnout. So incredible. All right. Huge chapter. Make sure that you're taking notes from it.